Hi, welcome everyone. Gratuitous picture from the 1980s because I found it in another presentation when I was moving slides over. But we're gonna think back to that picture later because you know, that's Mike the geek, Mike the tech guy. Mike who really didn't have a lot of people skills. At least twice every year, I go out to a conference to watch a big box coach do their magic. You know some probably from some famous big box coaches like Tony Robbins, right? The people who you're not quite sure what they're saying, but they've got all these memes and these quotes and these books. A couple years ago, I went to see Michael Port. He's from Philly, so he did it in the Kimmel Center with 300 people. A couple years before that, I went to see Suzanne Evans at Need a Change in Orlando. She had 800 people. And just this past March, this was Grant Cardone, who at 9,000 people. These pictures, one of these pictures happens to be at the end of the day, but it was like that from 8 in the morning until 6 at night. In the Mandalay Bay Conference Center, there were 9,000 of us in the dark. You think our music was a little loud. Loud music, lights, it was incredible. That was Flo Rida. He was one of the musical interludes. I'm a fan, so I stayed for that, but that was the highlight of the conference. Man, there was a lot of testosterone in that room because Grant sells cars in real estate, and there were a lot of young people out there. It's like a big frat party. But I go there to watch them coach. I go there to watch them sell because that's one of the things that he's doing to 9,000 people. In fact, he said one of his speakers after his talk sold $3 million worth of product. And they invited him back the next day to share how he did that, which I thought was pretty incredible. And actually on the second day, he didn't really tell you how he did it, but he told you another package to tell you how he did it. It was very, very ingenious. So it certainly did inspire me. Now I would say that you know, being that tech geek, that operational guy, I'm a lot less flashy than all of that. So how we do it is going to be a little bit different. But I think that we're going to still get the same benefit out of it. You know, my goal for today is really to do something that you leave here with, things that tonight, that tomorrow morning, you can start acting upon immediately, that give you new perspectives, that create a different way of thinking than before all of the programming that you heard today. We worked very hard at putting together a really good program. I'll talk about that in a moment. Now, like I said, I'm an operational guy. I did do a weight loss startup, but this is lean. Now, one of the things that you'll hear a lot from me because of my startup background and I do in my coaching is that we talk about lean manufacturing, lean startups, lean operations. And what is lean? You know, lean is basically you do all these little iterations of learning and launching and learning and launching, and you make progress by taking in those bits of learning, so you're not doing any one big thing before you go on to the next thing. And my challenge with the lean, though, as much as I think it's a great philosophy for when you're starting, is you lose the ability to leap. When do you think about the really big things, the things that you can't do in a 1-week sprint or a 2-week sprint that are too big to put on a little post-it note on your Kanban board? So the fact is, what I want you guys today to do is to think about leaping, to not just do the little iterations, and you're going to get lots of little tidbits that you can start using tomorrow, but I also want you to start thinking about the big leaps that you're able to take. And what we're going to do in those leaps is figure out how to land them. One of the reasons why I named Trajectify what it is because in order to achieve success, you've got to have momentum and you've got to have trajectory. Right? You've got to know where it is that you're going to land on the other side of that chasm and what the path is to get there. So we're going to do a lot today. You're going to get a lot of tidbits from learning and launching, but you're also going to get a lot of inspiration for leaping and landing. The first part is what I typically call traction. The second part is what I call scaling. Now, there's a lot of reasons that people don't leap, that lean is really comfortable. And one of the biggest reasons is, well, what happens when your trajectory across that chasm isn't really good, that something happens, and we all know that stuff happens. And it's fear. We're afraid to take those really big leaps because we could end up inside the chasm. And that hurts. That hurts a lot more than, it doesn't hurt Wile E. Coyote, of course, because he's always around for the next scene. But I got a problem with fear. Fear is only an emotion. And while I don't want you to control your emotions, I want you to be aware of them and embrace them, you got to understand that fear is just a feeling that you have. I want you to think maybe about a bunch of the fears in your life or a bunch of the fears that you've had in the past or that you have right now. How many of them have ever come true? Probably very few. For some of you, probably none. I'm married to a warrior. It's inherited in her family. And it's sort of like, but doesn't it ever happen? What if this and what if that? Like, but those are just feelings. And so what I want you to do is forget, not to forget, but to remember that fear is just a feeling that you have. It's not a projection of what's going to happen, because more often than not, almost always, it doesn't happen. Fear is a big motivator. If you've ever heard Tony Robbins say this, I'm going to read it off here because I want to get it right. If you want to take the island, then burn the bridges. Now that's using fear as a motivator. What the story behind that quote is going back to a Spanish commander, Hernan Cortez, in 1520. He's a conquistador, and he was there to conquer Mexico. And he sent his forces in and said, burn the boats. Burn the boats because there's no turning back. Once you burn the boats, you can't escape. It's either win or die. That's using fear as a motivator. I am not a proponent of it. We're going to get to that in a moment. So another interesting story. I saw, a couple years ago, a post on Medium from a startup founder, a company called Otto. What was his name? He's got a name. Sam Jadala. Otto, I think, made electronic doorknobs. They took a bunch of investment. They built a company. They had some revenues. And then they failed. They were supposed to get acquired. They failed. Why did they fail? That they failed because there was no backup plan. It was, I had to get this. We were left without alternatives. I had to get this done. And if I didn't get done, the company couldn't succeed. Now, one of the companies, many of you know in my background, one of the companies I worked at was CD Now. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later, because that was the path for me to go from COO to CTO to CEO. When I took over CD Now, we were losing $65 million a year on $150 million in revenues. The company was public. We did a secondary offering. The entire market tanked around us. Wall Street decided to change how they evaluate startup businesses. And we were, our saving grace was we were going to merge with Columbia House, a privately owned company between Sony and Time Warner. And the day before we were supposed to close, they backed out of the deal. Backed out of the deal because Time Warner was going to get acquired by AOL, and Sony was having financial problems. They decided that they weren't going to do it. We had a plan B. It wasn't pretty. We decided we had to sell the company to someone else. We put it up on the auction block. In parallel with that, we were preparing for Chapter 11. We eventually got 6 bidders on the sale, and at the end of the sale period, nobody decided to finalize an offer. So we were going to go ahead with the Chapter 11 until some other player came out of the blue and said, we want to buy it. We always had an alternative. We always made sure that there were other paths. We didn't let fear of what would happen, of taking these big leaps, like merging with Columbia House, we didn't let fear drive how we were going to build the business, how we were going to take those leaps. Unlike Sam and his company, where, sorry guys, there's nowhere else we fell into the chasm. Jewish New Year was the beginning of this week. I was in synagogue on Monday and Tuesday. I was at a new synagogue with a hearing of new rabbi sermons. I left the second day of services saying I've got to hire these guys as a coach. They are, you might have some clergymen in your life too, who are just amazing coaches. So like, I got to get a copy of their speech, but I got to wait for after the holiday because they're not supposed to do business during the holiday. I am. So one of the rabbis said in a sermon, ask, this person is really in a hard bind, so they asked God for $5,000. And it's like, when you think about that, God probably, if he's got a bank account, it's probably an infinite bank account. Why not ask for 10,000? Why not ask for 10 million? Right? Why did this person, in the story, only ask God for $5,000? And the reason is that we limit ourselves, right? We don't ask for $10 million because we're putting limits on ourselves to try to be, kind or patient or humble. But why not ask for $10 million, right? Why not try to make that big leap? So at the Grant Cardone conference, one of the speakers, Jordan Zimmerman, I think he's an advertising guy out of Florida, he's a coach now. He was very clear, chase your dreams, not your fears. And so when you think about it, whether it's how you're planning your business, how you're planning your career, how you're planning your personal life, right? Those leaps are towards things that we'll call dreams, and let's forget about the fears that are emotions. Speaking of which, the rabbi said one other thing. He said a lot of things that I wanted to write down. But one of the other things he said, you're not living until you're out of your comfort zone, which I really like that. And I'm gonna ask him if he can let me quote him on that. I leave you with this thought. This is from another coach. He reminded me and everyone in the company that he was coaching, I am paid to think. Every one of you, regardless of what it is that you do, your teams, every one of your companies, we're paid to think. When you're sitting at your desk doing nothing but thinking, that's why you're there. And sometimes you'll hire me, some of my clients are here, to remind you that you need to be thinking. So you're paying me that you're paid to think. And I'm looking at Bill. Bill has, you have thinking time on your calendar every twice a week, which you often schedule for meetings, right?